What's up, beautiful people? We're back again, and as we promised, we're going to start shooting more and more consistently. So we have a very special guest in today. It's, boy Luke. Rocc is in the building.
Yay.
And then we got Laurie Wintonick, the little big powerful woman.
Yes.
The organizer, facilitator of Elite 365, Jesse Itzer's program, the first year. And as a member of it, I just got to say she's done a fucking awesome job. Start off with just an F-bomb, but this is who we are. So we're going to probably talk about that a ton, and who else knows what else we get into. But for the Elite 365 program, Jesse Itzer's program, that you really are like the cog behind it all, making it work. What makes this unique?
First of all, Jesse Itzer, because everything he does is just, completely out of the norm, which is great because normal's broken. It's like he always says. But, there's so many mastermind programs out there that are really good, but they're based on certain areas, specific to business or realty or this or that. And Jesse's program, this JI coaching that we do, Elite 365 as it was called this year, is really everything your traditional mastermind is, but everything it's not. And it covers everything. We don't want to just focus on one area. We want to focus on balancing all the areas of your life. So we work on business, relationships, personal, and health and wellness goals. And it's important that we give as much attention to all of them and not just one of them.
Right.
And that's what's really makes us unique, because we are just fully balanced. It's about your life, not just your job or not just your, niche that you're in.
That's a perfect way to put it. So it's completely about your life. So I'm fortunate enough, Laurie's actually my personal coach. And then amongst, how many other coaches are there?
There's 2 coaches for this year. We have 2 more coming in next year.
All right, so maybe not coach, mentors.
Mentors, there's 9 mentors, yeah.
So the mentors are like Mona Sharma. She's super brilliant and amazing what she does. She does like yoga, nutrition. She's Will Smith's
nutritionist.
Wellness we got
counselor.
Dr. Trish Smith, who did breath work with like Wim Hof. Dr. Karen Gordon, who is a relationship coach, gave some really interesting. Remember I was talking about last week with like the 23 minutes. I was like, because I met this coach, like I learned like 23 minutes and like sex 1 to 3 times a week. That's all it really needs. Like it's funny is I take the lessons we learn and I give it to my team in business, and because it is life, right? And you obviously know how we get down. I'm wearing the hoodie they made for us, the dojo, which I had Jesse sign the dojo thing, because I got into it. I'll get into how I got into it later. That's not as important as kind of what it is. But there's John Carroll, there's Chris Haw, there's just these amazing human beings who you might not know, but they're the people that you look up to, who they work with, who they go to for like advice.
Gotcha.
So it's like the coolest thing. Like, I don't say having these people at your fingertips, because you don't. That's not fair.
But you kind of do.
But you got them if you need them, right? You like set up calls, and then like I've become friends. I don't want to push my luck, say I've been friends. I'm acquaintances or more with some of them. Like me and John Carroll get like dinner, and like him and his wife are like friends with me and Danielle.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's something cool. Like Jesse sent me like, a nice little text to my wedding and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like it's pretty cool stuff.
They become part of your circle. I mean, and these 9 mentors that we have, again, like you said, Dr. Trish Smith, Mona Sharma, Dr. Mindy Peltz for fasting, Chris Hout, Dr. Karen Gordon, Leadership and Relationships, Megan Riley, Chuck Wade, Melissa Joy Kong. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody with John Carroll, which you mentioned for business. These are all the people that Jesse goes to, and Jesse's wife, Sarah Blakely, goes to for advice when when they're looking for things. These are Jesse's personal mentors, and now we get to use them too. I mean, how cool is that? Like, that we get to get coached by them and go to these retreats and do things with them shoulder to shoulder in an ice plunge. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm just hanging out with Mona Sharma today, and last week she was with Will Smith, and
Mindy
Peltz.
How did I get in this?
Yeah,
bitch?
Mindy Peltz is having dinner with Danica Patrick, and then here I am like, hey Mindy, can you help me with my fasting?
Dr. Mindy Peltz, for anybody that doesn't, she probably has my favorite Instagram account.
Oh,
she
great.
puts so much useful information out there on like fasting. I actually do it probably once a week now.
Seriously?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I think the 3-day fast was I'm probably gonna kill this, but like the cellular atrophy, I already know I butchered that word, but like it gets rid of dead cells and it looks to help like against cancer and all these different illnesses. And if you fast like 3 days in a week, maybe once a year, I forget the percents, but like the amount of like illnesses and stuff like that your body cures, and it's wild how much better you feel.
You said 3 days.
3 days, 72-hour fast. We did a
So
72-hour water fast. We did.
Water fast.
Yeah.
Nothing but water.
You can have black coffee. You can have tea, but nothing but water. But we did it under her care, and we had, we knew exactly what to look for. We knew if certain things happened, what we should do. There's these like fat bombs, they call them, which are basically like oil and
like
nuts
MCT
or whatever that you
oil.
could have or something like that. If you felt like you were dropping blood sugar levels or something that you didn't feel like you were okay, you could do that. But then we broke the fast together after 72 hours. The way you're supposed to, but autophagy is the word you're trying to say. And there's a point, I don't think it's a 24-hour fast, water fast is really good for you. 36 hours is good. You hit it, you start autophagy at about, I think, 17 or 18 hours, your body will start. And that is when your cells start to heal itself.
Okay.
And that's what Luke was saying, like, it will attack cancer cells. It will flush all of the negative stuff out of your body, toxins, everything, the longer you can fast. So a 3 to 5 day fast is like amazing. 3 days I thought I was going to be like starving. We were fine.
I was fine.
Fine.
Really?
Yeah.
So, you can understand, like I get more energy when I fast now. So the first few times you do it, it's a little weird, and you think you're hungrier than you are. And
A little weird.
it's honestly though, what happens is you realize most of the time you eat because you're bored. Or it's what you're programmed to do.
Right.
And like you have like a hunger pang, and it's almost like a reminder. It's like an alarm clock, like eat. And then you just ignore it. And then you have more energy because your body uses, again, I learned this here, or not here, but with Laurie in the group, your body uses so much energy in the digesting, the preparing, and the cleaning.
I was told that, yeah.
That's why I need less sleep when I fast. Like I've been feeling like shit lately because we went so hard last week.
Right.
So like, what happened was I decided I was going to fast, and I feel amazing today.
3 days.
No, I just did one.
So, okay, all right.
Yeah.
The one I think I can live through.
No, yeah.
You could totally live it. If you weren't so conscious of eating because society says we have to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at certain times, you wouldn't realize that.
Yeah, I'm like double that programming.
Yeah, well. And the thing is, I mean, when you look at animals in the wild, they eat when they're hungry because they need energy.
Right.
They don't eat because it's 8 o'clock or it's
Right,
noon.
exactly. Yeah.
Right? Nobody told them it's time to eat. They eat when they need to fuel their body. We've moved away from that because society and big business and all this wants us to consume.
Right.
So fasting, just kind of intermittent fasting, you could do, if you stop eating at 8 p.m. and you don't eat again till noon the next day, it's a 16-hour fast.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even realize it. And people do that all the time. They just grab coffee and off they go, and they don't think anything of it. So if you actually put a little bit of consciousness into it, a little bit of intention, it's not so hard to intermittent fast, and that 24 hours will go by really fast. 72 was a little bit of a challenge, but you realize when you thought you were hungry, you drank some water and moved on like you were, either bored or whatever, and your body just...
What's today, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's on for tomorrow.
Yeah, dude. Honestly,
If I call you and tell you I done blacked out, you know what happened.
no, dude, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Is there anything special I need to know? I heard black coffee, which I can't stand.
Black coffee's fine.
Water. Tea. I love black tea.
You can
do tea?
No
Water.
calories, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want anything that's got calories, and you certainly don't want anything that has any carbohydrate at all.
Right.
So if you felt like you had a headache or you were a little bit dizzy or anything like that where you felt off, you might make a little nut butter or something is fine, but nothing with sugar in it or anything like that.
All right.
Yeah, some of the fats and stuff like the ghee or
Yeah.
the MCT oil.
All right. I'm hunting for 1 day.
One day.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Bro,
Okay.
I bet you'll love it.
If you started, if you ate dinner tonight, say at like 5-6 o'clock, and when you were done, you just drank water, and then tomorrow you didn't eat again till 5 or 6 o'clock, you'd be fine because you're going to sleep through half of that.
I can live through half of that, through most of that.
You can still go to the gym, bro. Like I still go to the gym. I go to the sauna. I was running. I
Really?
was doing 2 days when I was doing the 3-day fast.
Really?
I got really hungry around 48 hours and really hungry around 60 or 65. But like at 72, when we broke the fast, I wasn't even hungry.
I wasn't even ready to eat. I was like,
Really?
oh, I got it. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I can do this now.
I'm gonna do it because it's like a community thing.
All
But like
right.
I was like ready to keep going.
Yeah.
My Taita, which is like the medicine man, Amazon for like ayahuasca. Whenever he does it, he's just so wise. But like he always talks about how Christ did 40 days without eating. Buddha did, I forget how many days. And he just refers to all these holy Gandhi and all these different people. And he's like, fasting is spiritual. And he goes, he said, this seems absurd to me, but he said, every day you fast, and you fast the right way for spiritual purposes, you remove 50 years of karma in your lifeline, in your bloodline.
How does that work out?
So he said, so if you fast one day a week.
Is it because your DNA is self-healing is what he's trying to say? Or
I don't know, man, you're not really like, he doesn't really speak English, so he's like a translator. Like he's straight from the Amazon, bro. Like he's bringing me with me to the Amazon.
Right.
Like the last one, he was like, you're going to teach the churches and the little Buddha and all this other crazy. It was wild, bro. He started singing to me. But like, before I go off on that tangent, we'll save that for another time.
Well, you kind of got into it last week.
Yeah, we kind of got into it a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, but he was just saying that it's 50 years of karma for your lifeline. And I don't understand why. I just remember like looking at Danielle and being like, all right.
That's something else for me to go look up. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. 50 just seems like a lot. 15 would make, but he said, because I remember him specifically saying 50 and thinking like, there's no way that's correct. And he said, so if you do 1 day a week for 50 weeks, you're just doing 250 years. You're helping your ancestors. Like you're helping your future bloodline.
This is sounding better.
Yeah.
Let's back up. So for you know how you have the Cliff Notes, right? Mm-hmm. So for the person who's never heard of Elite 365, what is it, and why would you want to go do it?
It is, I hate to say it sounds so cheesy, life coaching. It's a life optimization program, but
Nice.
it's different. It's experiential. It's adventure based. It's based on doing, not telling.
Right.
So, most of the mastermind programs out there, you go to a conference, you sit in a hotel room, you get talked at for 2 or 3 days, and then you leave.
I like your choice of words.
It's less talk, more action. Like we're living it. So, we have this calendar. Jesse has this big calendar, how he plans out his year. We do a whole planning session on the phone, one-on-one. Luca and I did his. We sit down with here's the whole checklist. What are we looking at this year for you? What do you have to do personally? That's like the normal, the doctor's appointments, anything that you need to do. What do you want to do? What's Danielle got? What are you guys looking at? All these different things. And then what are your goals? What are your business goals this year? What's your personal goals this year? What's your health and wellness goals? What's your relationship goals? Let's get that figured out on a calendar and see what it looks like. A lot of people, they plan in December or January and they're like, I'm going to do all this. And they run at the gate full speed, right?
Exactly.
And then within about 15 days, they stop going to the gym. They're not eating healthy.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All those phone calls, all the things they were going to do, they may keep their business goals, but usually business goals, even because of the way they're laid out, they'll only last 6 months. And by June, everybody's falling off. Nobody's doing what the planning session was.
Right.
So we're geared towards spreading it out on your calendar. So it's like, okay, well, if you have a big business goal in the first quarter, then let's not talk about running a marathon because you're not going to be able to focus on both.
Exactly.
So let's put the marathon in August. So you could train second quarter into August. Let's look at what we're really trying to accomplish and make sure that it's feasible and it'll work. And also let's make sure it's big enough.
Right.
Because we want to push. And at the end of the day, our whole thing is it's not so much about the goal you're putting in place, but it's the journey and the learning and the experience you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. And so that's what really makes us a little bit different. That's what we do. That's what we're about. And it's about bringing out everyone's best authentic self. The question I ask all the people I coach is, when you're sitting and you're doing something and you feel that joy, or you feel like this is like I'm my best Laurie right now at this moment, what are you doing? Figure out what those moments are, and let's figure out how to do more of that. Because that's where you should be putting your time in. That's where your passion is, your purpose. Like, all the other stuff is just stuff. So if there's things we have to do, and we can figure out how to fit them in. But let's plan the things we want to do that make us who we are from the inside out. Like, I want to talk to my true inner self. And I want her to speak to me and let me know what I should be doing.
Exactly.
And I want to do that first, and then all the other stuff fits in after. And that's what we do. We teach you how to live that way so that you're literally at the end of December, I'm hoping the people that were in Elite 365 look back and be like, holy fuck.
Exactly.
This year was amazing. I could not have imagined that I could have done this year. And it's not because I did anything for them. Mm-hmm. They all did their work.
Yeah, you
the
help them
coaches
listen
just
to themselves.
help them pull it out.
Right.
Jesse says it. He said it a couple times in his speeches. There was a family that lived on a farm, and oil company comes, and they're like, we're pretty sure there's oil under your land. And they're like, there is absolutely no oil. You're crazy. And the oil company's like, look, we're going to drill. Let us drill. If we hit oil, we'll split the profits with you. Like, we'll split it with you.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out, drill away. There's no oil. Well, guess what? They drill and the oil's there. And this family, they're now millionaires. No, they were millionaires for hundreds of years, as long as they own that property. They just hadn't hit the oil yet.
Exactly.
Everybody has that oil inside of them. And what we're doing is figuring out what it is to bring it out. Mm-hmm. And it might be something for business. It might be something personally. It might be something spiritual. It might be something for your health and wellness. Like, some people are working out and doing things this year that they've never done before, and they love it. They love how they feel. So it's just finding that and creating more moments of that in their life. That is what we do. And we do some really cool stuff while we're doing it. I mean, we went to Minnesota. We took tents and staked them into a frozen lake and slept outside in tents, in sleeping bags, in minus 15, minus 20 degree weather. Well, some of us slept. That's a whole nother story.
I was snoring like a bear.
Luke was in the tent next to me, so guess what? I didn't sleep at all because he snored
like
the whole night. And we had fires that we had to keep lit for to keep us warm and all of those things. And we cut a hole in the lake and we cold plunged in the lake. I've never done that stuff before.
The ice was so frozen.
Hold on, we lit a fire on the lake that we're sleeping on?
Yes, in our tents. We had
it was like a little stove.
We had stoves, and then we had they rolled
the
a big
stoves
old,
might as well not have been there.
No.
They did nothing for heat. Literally, like the way it was set up, literally the heat just went straight out the tent. It honestly was just
Yeah.
I have
by,
to give.
by the time you left, you're like, oh God.
Yeah,
the stove was more for light than for heat.
I have to give a shout out to Brit and Bar because he single-handedly kept our tent alive because Jesse was like, I got the fire, and then Jesse fell asleep, and the rest of us was freezing. I literally, at one point, it was about 2 a.m., and it was so cold. It was minus 15, and I was in the sleeping bag, and I'm like, all right, if I get up, I'm going to lose whatever heat I have left. And I'm like, maybe I should text my daughters. Like, maybe I should just let them know Mommy loves them. Like, I'm going to So I come home, I'm telling my husband the story. I'm like, I almost called you. Like, I almost called the girls. Like, I was pretty sure I was going to die. And he's like, Laura? I go, yeah. He goes, wasn't there a cabin like 300 yards from where you were laying?
Stop.
I'm like, yeah. He's like, what? I go, I wasn't giving up.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't walking out of that tent, even though, I mean, any sane person would have, and a few of our people did. But, yeah, we had a barrel sauna out there. The ice was so thick, they got chainsaws to cut it so that we could cold plunge. They had to go get bigger chainsaws because the ice was 3 feet
The chainsaws burned out.
Like, They went
through like 3 chainsaws. And there's this wild Minnesota. I wish I could remember the dude's name. I still talk to most of Embrace North though.
Oh, they're amazing.
Jake's coming out. He's gonna stay with me when I get the house. He's gonna do the podcast.
Fantastic.
Like all these guys.
Sauna Poppy's amazing.
Poppy. So just these wild dudes. This one guy. What was the guy with no shirt with the hat and like the toothpick the whole time?
No shirt
bro,
on the ice.
They all had no shirts because they live out in Minnesota. This is like normal.
And he's like trying to with the chainsaw, get another chainsaw, like they're burning out. He's like getting an axe. Bro, the shit was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, to say the least.
It was absolutely nuts. It was funny too. So like me and my tent became super tight. Tent 2. Shout out to Tent 2. So
shout out to Tent 2.
We ended up we were actually, I think us and one other tent were the only ones that stayed both nights outside.
Really?
Yeah. So the second, so in my tent though, bro, like let me tell you like what this group is like, right? The type of people I became connected with. I got this dude Tyler who's super funny, runs a commercial real estate, super successful. Chris Howe is in there. He's a former Olympic athlete, coaches people that run 100-mile races. Got this guy Drew that just sold his company for like $200 million or something absurd like that.
Yeah. Okay. The guy you just said about.
Yeah. Dude, it was absolutely. We got Karan, who is just, I don't even know how to explain Karan. I just hung out with him in Denver when I was there. He highly successful
private equity firm.
Private equity firms. He gave one of the funniest speeches I heard. Everybody's introducing themselves. A bunch of people are like, I started like the first women's owned sports agency. I had like I was the CEO of hospitals. Mike Goldberg, shout out to him, who's on here. Karan was like, I do God's work. I buy companies.
He's so funny.
He's so funny.
He literally, he after that trip, he decided his misogi, which we'll get into eventually. He decided what it was going to be and sold his apartment in Soho and moved out to Colorado. And he's like staying with friends in Denver for like 4 or 5 months, training out there, like just up and was like, I'm leaving. Like I'm putting all my stuff in two bags. Like he literally got rid of all his possessions. He's got like two or three luggage bags. Like that's all he's got to his name. Yeah, and he's living his best life.
Living his best life.
It's amazing.
Having a great time. Danielle, me, Casey, and one of my buddies, Stokes, when we were out for Fred again in Denver, we ended up hanging out with him on his birthday. Very interesting group of people.
Yeah.
Very cool, very interesting group of people.
I bet. Anybody who says, you know what, okay, I'm gonna sleep in the tent on some ice. Let's do this.
Let's do this. And that's the thing. Like, and that's who these people are. And they're all walks of life in this program. Like, I never asked in the application process. We don't ask what you do for a living or how much money you make because I don't care. We all put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time. So it's not about what you have. It's about what you're willing to do and what you want, and how how you're looking to improve. And all these people, like, I mean, we have billionaires. We have, like you said, people hugely successful business people.
To be in the group, though, like you don't ask what you do and what you make, but you got to be pretty successful to be in it because there is a hefty price tag to it.
Exactly.
Yes,
and
there is.
And honestly, to be fair, that's who I want to be around, right? Like,
right, exactly. Yeah,
I'm the guy that provides and takes care of all my people. So being around a group where I'm sitting there learning. Not that I don't learn from my people, right? Like you
right, yeah, exactly.
Like, you know me and the homies.
Yeah,
I'm always listening and learning. But with that being said, meeting people that are at the next levels I'm trying to get to.
Exactly.
It's a great. It's
almost
cool.
like a roadmap, like somebody's hitting a little flashlight on for you. Like, look at that. Like, oh yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of leads us into like the next part. Like, so what would you say our mission is in this group?
It's really just to it's Jesse's way of life. It's the way he lives. It's his lifestyle. It's to bring that to as many people as we can, but not to the masses, so that we lose who we are.
Don't throw pearls before swine.
Right.
So, we want to keep it small. We'll probably never go past 200 members just because it's not like we want to keep it intimate, but we want people to just live that best life. We want them, when I was talking to somebody, they said to me, God, I've packed 50 years of work into 30 years of actually being employed.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pack 50 years of life into my next 30 years of living.
Thank you.
Right.
So some of these people, like you, are younger, or much younger than me. We have, people in their early 30s on up.
Right.
They could get 100 years of life in 50 years.
Exactly.
If they live it the right way. And living it the right way means living your life the way you want to, doing the things you love to do with the people you love to do them with, period.
Hmm.
And that's really what the mission is to teach people and show people how to do that, so that they can. And then, like you said, you bring these lessons back and you tell the guys, and the girls at your office and people
right.
Spread it around.
Yeah,
like
200 turns into 200,000.
Yeah, spread it. And people see how you live and they're inspired by it, and you don't even realize. If you want to inspire others, you need to inspire yourself.
Right.
So once you're doing that and living this way, like, it just permeates everything around you.
Exactly.
And that's the
Literally.
goal. Yeah, that's the goal.
It's funny because I was asked to do, I more or less volunteered this training before. I think I talked about last week too. Like, God knows how many agents, right, for the company. And
oh yeah.
So our company has 4,000 agents. Basically, like, everybody's invited to this. Who knows how many actually show up. And I'm kind of known for living that way, anyways, before this. But me being able to cite Jesse Itzer and knowing him, right, and knowing other people, where I'm like, yo, guys, it's not just me that says this.
You saying it
it's
from
the billionaires that say it. It's the guys that make $200,000 to $2 million. They're telling you work. You're never going to see your family. You're never going to see your friends. You're never going to see your kids. That's okay because you got to want it. And I'm like, that's not what the guys at the top are actually saying. It's
Exactly.
the guys in the high middle.
Right.
And it's like, because I would always say the opposite, and people are like, bro, you can't get to where you want. And I'm like, well, I am.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm bringing my people with me, and like, I have a phenomenal relationship with my wife. Like,
right.
Me and my boy's gonna be tighter. Like,
Exactly.
So having people that I can like name that and like reference, like, hey, this is what Jesse Itzer and like, like all these other people say and that are doing these things. This is what John Carroll says, who, is in a panel and board with like Sarah Blakely and all these other people. And this is how they live. It's such a powerful thing, because it's one thing if I say it, and again, I'm successful, but not like these people.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and hopefully
there's
I will be.
there's levels to this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and hopefully in the future, but I'm not there yet, right? And even if I never end up, that's cool too.
That's all right.
So like, but it's just
Keep
cool.
going that way.
Yeah, it's cool
Yeah.
to be able to reference that. And you've been at my wedding, like, you know how the friends and family look at me, because I've always been that dude.
Right.
But like, I was always the guy to go out there, figure it out, and bring everybody on.
Facts.
So it's just kind of, it's something that's so cool. And I'm very fortunate that I've met Laurie. And I feel like me and Laurie are pretty good friends now.
Absolutely.
Laurie came to the wedding. Shout out. It was
Right.
super cool. Yeah,
Sat
yeah.
at the table. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had the best table. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
we had the best table.
Clearly
a-
had the best
yeah.
table.
You guys had an epic table. It was you two, Carmen,
yeah.
Kevin,
Yeah.
Mike. Was
Mike.
Mike Burke there?
No, Mike.
No.
Mike set the table behind us.
So Mike is the sound healer. Yo, he's really
He
sick.
set the table. Really?
He's really sick.
Mm.
He's the best sound healer ever. Like, yo, when he did it at my house one time, and Antonio had like a fucking exorcism. Like,
Right.
he said that happens. He's so good. Like he channels Native American energies. He says when he does it. But he gets. I don't know if you heard the podcast he did here, and the first hour.
It's like the third one, the third or the fourth.
Yeah,
one.
I didn't even know he
Yeah.
did it. So I was at a spoken word event.
He had all of this set up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And he plays like 20 instruments, and like he has these things, like whale sounds and all this crazy stuff, and his voice sounds different. And
Right.
I didn't know he did that. I met him at a spoken word event, and I just thought he had cool poetry because he has poetry books.
Right.
And I thought he was like a funny, goofy old man. And he came in and was like, "Oh, I thought you wanted me for my sound healing," and just did a whole thing. And I was like, "Bro, I gotta hang out with you more often." Like,
Exactly.
but yeah, man, he's Mike. Hopefully you're doing better, buddy. But he is.
I have to reach out to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. Anyways, let's change that topic.
Right.
And blessings to Laurie's family too. And you guys are currently going through something too. So it's just one of those things in life.
It is, but that's one of the things that we do in the program too, is realizing that we think we have time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to live our lives to the fullest. You know,
Right.
Luke just mentioned. So my father passed away this week. He's been sick for 4 years, 76 years old.
Very sorry. to hear that.
Thank you. The average, American lives to what I think Jesse says 72 or 78 maybe. So when you think about it, I just turned 49.
Right.
So say I'm going to live to 78. I have 29
Basically.
years left,
Yeah.
basically, right? Of those 29 years, how many of them are really going to be good years? Because when I hit my 70s, maybe I'm not so healthy, or maybe whatever. Okay, so I just lost 8 years. So I got 21 years. I got 21 summers. Think of how fast a summer goes by.
Exactly.
I want to maximize every one of those summers. I want to maximize every one of those years. And that's, part of what we do. You don't know when you're going to get sick. You don't know when somebody's going to pass. You don't know when
Right.
those things are going to happen. So instead of saying, we'll do it later, I'll get to it. No.
Yeah.
We live intentionally now. And that's what we do in the program, is we live
Right.
intentionally and show you how important it is to do those things and create those memories.
Exactly.
And have all of that. When my father got sick 4 years ago, I made a point of spending as much of that time, because I knew I was playing with house money at that point. Like,
Right.
it was borrowed time.
Right.
So I was so intentional about my time with him. I have no regrets. Like, he passed, and I'm sad that he's gone, but I'm relieved for him.
Exactly.
And I know that we just had the best 4 years. That was a gift.
Yep. Exactly.
Honestly.
Exactly.
And then I don't know how you feel, but I would imagine it makes the passing much more peaceful, much better.
Everybody says, they're like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm oddly calm.
Right.
Like, because I'm at peace with it. He's at peace. I'm at peace. Like, I'm good with it. Like, we did all the things.
Right.
And-
Right.
And my father lived a lot, not like with Jesse, but like Jesse, but blue collar worker. We didn't have a ton of money. He worked really hard for his family, but he was at every sporting event for our kids. He worked, full time for someone. Then he opened his own business. He was always there. He ran sports programs for youth. Like, he was in the Navy. He had all these things that he did. He lived his life.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look back at all of that, I'm like, I had a wonderful time with my dad. My dad was there. He was present.
Yeah.
I didn't
you
miss
don't see the
anything.
regrets. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, it's like, he's gone. It's sad, but he was suffering. I didn't want that. But
Exactly.
we had an amazing life together, and I wouldn't change any of it.
And that's the beauty of it, is, again, like this program, is it's just be present with the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because and the way Jesse talks about time is probably one of the most influential things, and I'm going to get right back to that in a second. But I had one of my really, really good friends pass away, and actually me and Tyler Chauncey are the ones that walked in and found him. And the day before he did, I'm not going to get into that because I think there's a whole fucking thing with that. But like, he was reaching out to me for some help and advice.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave him probably some of the best advice and help I've ever given anybody. And I remember when I was talking to him, I was like, I'm always going to remember that. And I didn't know why. And the next day I found him and I was at peace. Like, I'm not going to like act like I wasn't sad or didn't cry, but I just remember being like, I'm so happy that I gave it my best.
Right.
Like, he's gone.
Exactly.
But like,
that you did what you
like,
could
but
when
like,
you could.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, and like what Laurie's saying is, so I'm not getting into all my goals, and I've hit basically all of them. But so now I've made new ones. I haven't maintained the weight, but I'm getting back down.
Getting
But,
there.
yeah. I'm
That's
definitely a lot less than I was in the beginning of the year, and I was until last week. We had this whole huge summit. So I flew out all my offices to my office, and I rented an Airbnb for I spent ungodly money, well worth every fucking penny.
Mm-hmm.
They blew it out.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I'm a little sad I wasn't invited.
Oh
but
my
whatever,
God, you
it's
would
fine.
have loved it. You would have loved it. So I rented this huge Airbnb, rented out all these bars and all that. And we basically just had a party for all the offices for a whole week where it was funny because at all times, if you walked to the downtown by my office, 1/3 to half my office was there.
Right.
But it worked perfectly because at all times, 2/3 to half my office was working, and they would just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like rotate. And we had like a phenomenal week.
Bro, I tell you, shout out to that rabbit place.
Oh my God!
What's the name?
Yeah.
What was
Falling
the name?
Rabbit.
Yes,
in Duluth.
yes.
That's where I wanted to take you to dinner that time
Yeah.
when you're gonna come up. It's right by here, and I had hired the bartender there previously, and then Chris is the best bartender
Oh
of all
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And then they brought him back, and they gave him like equity in the business, and I was like, bro, of course,
Right.
like this.
Why would you not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the bartenders at my wedding.
Okay.
The guy bartender.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Anyways, back to what I was gonna say was the way Jesse looks at time, and Laurie broke it down, is it's very interesting. He looks at time in such a different way than I've ever heard anybody. But it'll be like, my dad is this age, according to life expectancy, it's this many years. Well, I live here, so realistically speaking, I have this many weekends left with him.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have this many weekends left, if I take away, on average, every 2 hours, 18 minutes to look at my phone, I'm losing it's a very interesting breakdown of time. And I remember when we were in Minnesota, he was giving like a heads up kind of to this TED Talk he's going to do. Basically, it's not, I don't know if it's out, but even if it is, I'm just going to give this one part because and Jesse Itzer's information, not mine. But it was like, if you put your phone away and you delete all these different apps and you use that 18 minutes to learn a language, I think it's in a year you'll be fluent in a language. 18 minutes a day, you would read 2 books a year.
Right.
Like, it's like all these different things that you could do in just 18 minutes.
Yeah, with just these small tweaks. All he's doing is the kindergarten rules.
Yeah.
He's boiling it down to the least common denominator and making you take a look-see at it.
It's the simplest stuff, but
It
it's
is.
so
But we
powerful.
forget because
Right.
everything else takes over that we have to get back to the basics.
Begin running on autopilot.
Yeah.
Versus intention and care.
Exactly.
So Jim Rohn, who's one of my favorites, he says the things that will make you so successful and make you at a different level are very simple to do. But because they're simple to do, they're very simple not to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole world, not the whole world, we'll say a lot of the world is a distraction. And the person that gets to where they want to be is the one that's best at ignoring the distractions,
Yep.
right?
Letting the snow globe calm down.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
you look at, I'll use social media because I have a weird mostly hate relationship with social media. But like, look how social media probably has hurt so many relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's such an easy one to think of because everywhere you look, people are just putting the best pictures of them flexing or the angles or whatever up. Our girls are like the filters.
Filtered
and-
and
Right.
filtered.
Oh
Right,
my
right.
God. Right. So then you start to like question your own relationship, and it's like, but if you can delete that or ignore that and just focus on your own, that energy
Right.
then goes into building it up. And I think of that stuff all the time.
Literally what Laura was talking about in the beginning.
It's always goes full circle.
Yeah.
It always
full circle.
Yeah.
It always goes full circle. And then, so Laura, you're in town now for Jesse's show tomorrow.
Yes.
I signed up for it. I honestly don't know anything about it. What's going on? What is it? I was just like, Jesse's doing it. Shit, I'm going.
So Jesse, he has all these crazy ideas. He loves giving speeches. He loves talking to people. He loves sharing his story, his vision, his ideas, all of this. And he was like, I'm going to do a one-man show.
A one-man show.
Well, that's what he was going to do.
All
And then, Jesse, all of a sudden he's like, but I'm going to have, I'm like, well then, we're like, well then it's not one man.
Right.
So it's a benefit for Alzheimer's, which his father passed away from this year. So all of the net proceeds are going to go to the Alzheimer Foundation. It is in Atlanta. He's going to do, he has some, and not speeches, more of talks that is going to give. He has 2 friends of his that are comedians, Mike Young, which I know, Jesse's known him, since they were young. Great guy, hysterically funny. The other comedian, unfortunately, I don't know personally. And
I saw Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh will be there as well.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, Dougie Fresh
Okay.
and Jesse go way, way back. Jesse was a white rapper back in the...
I was telling him,
Oh,
go
yeah,
New
yeah,
York,
yeah.
go New York.
Yeah, so Go New York,
Yeah.
Go New York, Go is Jesse's theme song. He actually wrote a bunch, but he also had Jesse James was his name at the time. He had a song out, "Shake It Like a White Girl," and "College Girls Are Easy." Obviously, he did not.
You can imagine what kind of rapper he was.
Yeah, he
Exactly,
did not
yeah.
quite get Eminem
Yeah.
fame status
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
rapping, but he loved performing and all of that. So this is like a performance night, and it's just a place for him to share. It's something he's thinking about maybe bringing more, touring, doing like a national type thing where they go around and do these shows in different places and
Okay.
sharing his messages and his ideas and his stories and the spiritual billionaire we've talked about and things like that, that aren't just important to him. And it's more because he loves to do it than anything else. He said, like, it's not about having like a stadium packed with people to make all this money. It's just about
Right.
getting to do something that, like, when he's on stage and he's sharing, that's when
Right.
he feels the
That's his
joy and the
purpose.
purpose and his best authentic
Yeah.
self. And that's who he wants to be. So how does he create more of that? He loves speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But there's difference of speaking in a room of 250 corporate execs who, somebody brought him in to speak to, which
Right.
he loves to do too. Sometimes it's really, really well received. Sometimes they're like, who is this guy? Because they're
Yeah.
all in suits and he walks in his jeans and his sneakers and his t-shirt because that's
Right.
like his uniform. But this is, people who are coming to see because they want, they're making the active choice to hear him, which is even more fun, I think, as an entertainer.
Right.
So yeah, Dougie Fresh will be there. There may be some other surprises. It's going to be a really cool night. It'll be fun. I know a lot of our group is going to be there, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward
That's
to
gonna
that.
be really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good night.
We actually I gotta connect with Luke. I might have Luke Freeman on here tomorrow.
Luke is awesome.
He's super cool. Him and I connected. He wasn't in the Minnesota, but we connected in June in Connecticut.
Yeah, Connecticut, yeah.
Super cool. That's the dude I was telling you about.
Yeah,
before.
exactly.
Dude, there's so many
You have to let
amazing
me know
people.
tonight.
You did. Laurie's the one that I think.
Yeah,
selected
I
the group.
selected, and it was crazy because I didn't know. I think we had like 175 applications, and I knew a few people because I had coached them previously. But I was just kind of reading the answers, and it for me, it was gut. It was,
Right, right.
my inner self would be like, yes, no. Like people were like, how'd you choose? I'm like, I just felt like this person.
Exactly.
Really? And I didn't get it 100% right because nobody's that good. I probably got it about 90% right.
I was gonna say I vibe with like 90% of the people right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right.
Right
Exactly.
off rip.
And again, everybody's so different, but and I hate to say like-minded. I mean, they are like-minded, but they're like motivated.
Yes. That's
And
a better way to put it.
And that's why everybody connects so well, because of the
Right.
motivation for just growing and doing more and just being better at who they are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what areas like it is, and the motivation is there across the board.
Right. I like the well-rounded approach that you were
Yes.
talking about in the beginning.
Yeah.
I had a wild way that I even found out about it and like got in. Did I
It
tell you
was
that?
like secret. Like we didn't announce it. We don't advertise it.
Uh-huh.
It's like
So-
we're like the best kept secret ever. And we ended up on some list, like the top 22 masterminds of 2022. We were number 13.
No shit.
And I'm like, how are we?
How are we
and
not
this-
number one?
Really?
This
first
was
off?
like last year, and we hadn't even like really fully launched yet, and nobody knew about it. Like I was like, Jesse called me. He's like, how are we on this? I'm like, I have no idea how we're on this list.
Well, so you believe nobody knew about it.
Yeah. Yeah, again,
Somebody knows.
The movers and
Yeah.
shakers are in this group.
Right.
Like a lot of people that you don't know of behind the scenes that are making shit happen. The way I got into it was super cool. If I told you that,
I don't think so.
so Danielle will always remember this. So I used to be on those Wednesday night calls at 8:00.
The 30 Days of
The
Excellence.
30 Days of Excellence. I got into it right after Chad Wright did that race that he won. And it was like
The Last Man Standing.
Last Man Standing was epic, right?
The last man standing.
Bro.
Yeah, they do that. It's a 1 mile loop.
But it's a 1 mile loop, but it's up this hill, and you go until everybody else basically passes out.
Yeah, and you have like I think it's literally like they
But
just
it's super uphill.
keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And Chad's mentality, I think you have 20 minutes.
You have 20 minutes.
20 minutes
so if
to
you can't
finish
or whatever. But
right. Then that's how they start pulling people off. So Chad, because of how his motivation, his mindset is.
Do you know who Chad Wright is?
Oh,
Bro, you got to check him out.
He's bad.
Really?
He's
He
badass.
is incredible. I'm so excited to meet him.
Yeah, we're gonna have so much fun with him next
we
week.
play his stuff all the time in my work and listen to him. Like, dude, I love that guy.
Chad Wright, he's got the 3 of 7 project. He's an ex-Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
He's just an amazing person, a phenomenal human being, batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy in
But
the best way.
Clearly.
in the best way.
Yeah.
In the best way. But he would do an 18-minute mile. He's
Going
like, I'll be in the
uphill.
back of the pace. He's like, let all these people run, because that's the thing. Everybody runs out the gate.
Right.
He's like,
Right.
I'm just gonna take my time.
Right.
I'm not look. He's like, it's not who finishes the fastest; it's who stays out here the longest. And one by one, they would just fall.
Process.
And that's Chad.
It was this epic thing. And so we signed up for it, and I would play it from my office. And he had this line right after that, and it was, plan the dive the plan. He talks about with the Navy SEALs, he goes, when everything's good before you go on your mission, you're in a war room, and you're predicting what you're going to do. And he goes, the worst time to change your plan is when you're in shark-infested water, pitch black, and there's giant piranhas and the enemy's above you because you're scared or it's hard. He goes, that's not when you change your plan.
Right. Don't panic.
He goes, whatever you plan, that's what you do. Plan the dive the plan. So we used to say that all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so I did the 2020 ones mostly all year. And then 2021, work schedule kind of changed a little bit. So we'd be busy at 8 o'clock at night. And then I wouldn't be on there for those.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this intuition. You know me, you both know me with intuition.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, I got to get on the call tonight with Jesse's thing. And I was like, he's going to call on me. And I have to be on it. And I don't know how, you just know when you know. So I rush home. At that point, I was still working until like 8:39 every night. So I get home and I was like, what's up, Danielle? What's up, love? Queen, can you make me some coffee? I'm going to get on this call. Jesse Itzer's going to call me. I just know it. And she's like, Danielle's like, okay, of course. Yeah,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's not like, Danielle doesn't
Right.
question.
There's
She's
no
just like-
surprise. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna go
so
get your coffee.
as soon as I sign in, it's the weirdest shit ever. Jesse Itzer goes, hey, Luke Jeraci, I remember you from Instagram, man. What's going on? How you been? And Danielle like drops the coffee, right?
Right.
And then it was the first one where they did cameras on.
Mm-hmm.
And then so at the end, he goes, anybody have a question? And I was like, well, I was going to ask a question about business, because they typed in the questions, and one of mine was like, when should you go all in on something? Because I had a intuition about this podcast, but it didn't feel like it was the right time for this. And literally I had a thing that it's not yet, but it's going to be like this huge thing for people.
Right.
Because of conversations like this and stuff like this. And anyway, so I was like, so Jesse, I was going to ask you a question, but you kind of already answered it. Mark, before you were talking about intuition, I was like, yo, I'm a very logical guy that studies and loves math and these things, but I do 99% of my life off intuition and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, I listen to the angels or your ancestors or your guides. I go, and miracle is an ancient Hebrew word for reading the signs. Like, what do you say you do on that? And then Mark answers it. And it's like 70, right away, he goes, 70%. And he starts answering it. And Jesse goes, Luke, I know you didn't ask me, but can I answer you? And then he starts going, he goes, sometimes it's very logical, sometimes it's very intuitive. And he goes, where do you live? I was like, the Atlanta area. He goes, me and Mark are going to take you with us on a cold plunge. And then you got on after him, like, hey, we're going to be doing this Elite 365 thing.
Jeez.
and I was like, hey, I'd like to know about it. I probably won't be on this one next week. And you message me about it. And you send me an email about it. That's literally how I got in. That was the one I went to that year.
Right.
It was absolutely nuts. And then I told Jesse when we were in Minnesota, I go, you don't remember this? I go, I tried messaging you after, don't worry, no offense taken. You told me you were going to take me on a cold plunge with you. I go, you technically did.
Right.
So you
Just Mark wasn't here.
Right. Yeah. I was like, so you still, fit your word. And he has no idea what I was talking about. But if he ever sees this clip, then
He'll know.
He'll be
Right.
like,
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So, but I just remember that. So that was literally how I ended up getting into it. And as soon as it happened, as soon as the call ends, Danielle comes over and she was just like, I don't know how you do these things. But it was very wild. It was probably the only one I did that whole year.
Right.
Or maybe I did 2 that whole year. But I was like at work and I was like, yeah, I got to go home.
Right. Gotta get on this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Out of 50 something, you do the one that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Luke.
Right. That's
it was,
Luke.
Yeah.
It was a very beautiful thing. And then, the first call with Laurie, I'm talking about me being intuitive and spiritual, and she's basically like, yep, that's me.
Right.
And she's just like, I just read people and all these different things. So her and I naturally just connected.
Yeah. Carmen and I vibed with her minute two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I told Luke, one of the things for me is I'm like an extroverted introvert. Like I'm not good unless I'm comfortable. And flying down, I was coming down for that week anyway, but I flew down the day early to make it for your wedding.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
that's
came
right.
myself.
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. And I stood alone for a long time. But once I sat down at the table, I was like, because what's his name? John Luis. Is that his
Yeah.
name?
Yeah.
So he was there with his girlfriend as well.
Oh, he was at your table too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo, he's getting big time.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah,
you
he
follow
is.
him on
I've
Instagram.
been
I've been
yeah.
watching.
Yeah.
He's
They're
getting
blowing
big
up over
time.
there.
Yeah.
So, but between Kevin and I was like, all right, Rocc, like we're good.
Yeah.
Carmen, all right, we're good. Like it was just, I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, like now I'm so glad I came and it felt so good. But like,
Exactly.
we
We had a ball.
We just all clicked. It was really good.
Yeah, we had a ball.
I've been trying to get John Luis on here forever. And I think he might finally be ready, but he used to be like nervous about like that kind of stuff. Last time I visited him in Miami, he was asking about you. He's like, how's little Snooki? He was calling you Snooki. He was
Jersey
like,
follows me.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, how's little Snooki doing? So kind of cool little story with John Luis. And again, it's one of those things where like Jesse and you, and I like to think myself, as a living example of this. If you keep doing your best, not only does your best get better, but you get a lot of unintended good consequences.
Right.
So John used to come to my bar, and he used to date this waitress at my bar. And he would come in, and I just liked him, and then he showed me like one of his pieces of art, and I was like, bro, that's amazing. And it just so happened I knew somebody else that sold art, but sold it for like a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold probably his most expensive piece at that time and taught him sales. And like at that point, he was selling them for like just kind of like, I'm not saying he wouldn't have done what he's done, but he would tell you 100% that like I taught him sales and kind of like helped him get to that. And I sold like a bunch of his pieces in the beginning, like $4,000, $2,000, $3,000, which when you're that age, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why like him and I have such a special bond. And I didn't know, like I would go over and like watch him paint sometimes. And I just, smoke a blunt and watch him.
Right.
And his brother was telling me, he goes, just so you know, you're the only person, John, that's smoking in the house. And I'm like, and I was like, bro, you never said anything to me. He's like, yo, you're the homie. Like, it's cool.
It's you.
Nah,
It's
you're
you.
good.
He's not saying
Yeah, you're
nothing.
good.
Yeah. But I would just come over and like smoke and watch him and paint and be like, yo, let me reach out. Like, I know this person from business that might like da-da-da-da. And I was just connecting with people. And it's cool. It's like a lot of my friends, which you guys probably heard stories now from knowing me now. Like, again, when I said I was always that dude, I used to sneak into this mobbed up bar when I was in college.
Yeah.
All the time. And then I finally got this dude to give me a job, and I got all my roommates jobs. And that's like cool. Like I forgot about some of this stuff, but like when I was just at this wedding a couple weeks ago, they were all telling me these different stories. And my wife was like, yo, it's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy too.
Yeah. Jeremy.
Yeah.
Look at Jeremy now.
Yeah.
Jeremy's running a fucking office. That is
exactly.
insane.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's cool though. Honestly, like that kind of leads me to the next thing. Like, what do you think the best thing is about what we do and what you do in particular?
I think the stories that we get and seeing the changes in people's lives and just like, and for me, like I'm growing with you guys. Like I'm doing the work.
Right.
Like I'm
Yo, boringly consistent right here.
Boringly consistent.
She
Now I
is
took that from
killing it.
Quran. I
Right.
did take that from Quran. So that's my hashtag. We use it all the time on Instagram. The reality is, if you want growth, like everybody wants to know, like what's the secret to change and growth? It's being boringly consistent. It's putting in the work on whatever you're doing, day after day, relentlessly. Like that's when the change comes.
Right.
So that's me. That boringly consistent, 100%. That's me. And
I see Andrew
I can
Loftic puts that
identify
up
with
too
that.
sometimes.
yeah, like a couple people will throw it.
Yeah,
Quran
yeah.
puts it up all the time. I did steal it from him, so shout out to
Shout
him
out
for
Quran,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it is. It's what we are. But it's hearing things and it's seeing people change and realize. I mean, shout out to Jen Jordan, who this year her entire life has completely transformed, and she just completed 29 on 29.
That's so
and
cool.
She's got this brand new job, and like to get on the phone with her and to see her smiling and just full of life compared to where she might have been a few months ago. To see people who had really great ideas, but they were just afraid to take that jump.
Right.
But now they've jumped.
Build that belief in
Like-
themselves.
I was on the phone with Darren Roberts today, and he was asking me about the podcast because he was like, I still don't know how it happens, but we have 130,000 downloads in the first, like
Right.
on average for the first 5 episodes, right? I don't understand it. I don't make anything off this, to be honest. I'm losing money. I'm investing it. don't care. I didn't do it for that. I did it for like conversations like this,
Right,
and I feel like it was
right.
important to put this out there in the atmosphere. So Darren Roberts calls me and he's like, you know, entrepreneur, and he's like trying to monetize on it. I was like, bro, I can't teach you how to monetize.
Right.
I go, but I could teach you a couple different things I learned from spoken word. I go, I did a spoken word early. Trent Cooper, if you ever hear this, man, he's the guy that got me to spoken word. So when I was bartending, this dude used to come to my bar all the time with like long dreads, and he'd come on the day shift, and he'd come with a notebook and get a Blue Moon, and I'd hook him up just because I thought he was cool.
Right.
And then I go up to him finally one day, and I was like, bro, this is going to be super stereotypical, but I don't care. I go, you look like a guy that does spoken word, and I want to get into it. And he starts laughing and goes, it is very stereotypical, and I'm actually hosting an event in 2 weeks. I'll put you on. And then I wrote the first one I did that first night. That was the first one I ever wrote. The thesis. I think I did it the first time you were on here.
Uh-huh.
So anyways, you know, and then afterwards I go to start writing and doing more and more, and I start sucking. And I can't figure it out. And I'm sitting there at this bar in Miami. I don't want to put others just in case they would get in trouble, but they would let you smoke blunts at the bar. So I'm sitting there smoking, writing, trying to write, and I can't write anything. And this artist dude's next to me. He goes, what are you doing? I was like, I'm trying to write, man. I just can't figure it out. And he goes, oh, you're writing for the audience. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, you got to write for yourself.
Exactly.
He goes, the audience will find you. You got to write for yourself. So I was talking to Darren Roberts today. And I was like, bro, if you feel like, I think he'd be amazing on a podcast.
Absolutely.
He's super interesting.
Super interesting. He's got such great stories, and his whole idea that he has around doubt and bringing that, I won't give away what he's calling it, but
I told you about it before.
Right, but bringing that to people and having open and honest conversations about that would be incredible.
It'd be so cool.
He keeps...
So I hit him with a quote today that we use in my business all the time, and I think it got him. And it's not my quote. It's a Chinese proverb. But in my business, the bamboo tree line. But it's there's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a bamboo tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
Right.
Right.
And like he just kept being like, bro, thank you for that line. And he was giving me ideas on how to monetize this. So like, I was like, dude, thank you, because I don't know what I'm doing with
I
that.
appreciate you.
I was like, business wise, like I'm relatively new to the game. I'm doing well, but like.
Right. But like for me, look at all you accomplished this year. Look at the first conversation we had, and look at where you are. I look at where Darren is. He's running a 50K this weekend.
Yeah.
He's finally getting
Really?
to the point where he's gonna. Yeah.
It's running a 50K thing in DC this weekend.
I mean, like all these people doing the things that they wanted to do, but they were afraid to put themselves first because they're always
Right.
taking care of everybody else. And it's what you just said. You were writing for the audience. People are living for everybody else.
Yeah.
No, it is time to live for you. It is not selfish.
And the audience will benefit from
Right.
it.
Yes, it's
It-
not
yeah,
selfish.
yeah, that's what I was about to say, yeah,
so
it's not
much
selfish.
better, right, Rocc? Like you're
Yeah.
better
Much better.
when you're taking care of you, because
Right.
then you have more to give. People's businesses in this group are thriving because they're paying less attention to them. They're paying more attention to their home life, their spouses, their kids, their health, what they're doing, their adventures, their experiences, all
Yeah,
of that.
paying more attention to what's important.
And then guess what? When they go to work, they're happy to be there. They're not stressed out and worn out.
They can give their full.
Yes.
Can give their all to it.
And that's what they're doing, and it's been incredible. So you I know the 50K, you kind of look, what?
Yeah.
We have two gentlemen. Karan is one of them. The other one is Ben. They're misogi, which is like a life-changing event.
Right.
It's
Okay.
so
After you explain this insane thing
Yeah.
you're going to do, explain what a misogi is.
yeah. Okay. So I'll explain it first. So
All right.
it's an Asian thing. I don't know if I can never remember if it's, and I don't want to offend anybody, so I won't. It's just
It's a thing.
it's a 20. Normally, a misogi is it's 24 hours. You do something in a 24-hour period that's supposed to define your year. Okay, that's what they do. In Jesse's world, it's it's like a life-changing event. It's a 24-hour period of a life-changing event for your year.
All right.
In Jesse's world, it's pick one thing, one super huge thing. It could be anything that you'll look back at the end of the year and be like, holy, I just did that. Like,
Right.
there's like, what? I really accomplished that? Something different, something new, something super hard. Like, just, it's got to scare you a little bit. It's got to push you. So Jesse's run like 100-mile races. He just did last year the Ultraman. So he had the bike, the swim, and the run.
Right.
I think that was this year.
That was this year. That was
been a
May.
crazy year,
I don't
yeah.
even know where I am.
It's
yeah,
crazy year.
it's been it feels like, and that's the thing. I feel like we've lived 5 years in one.
Yes.
Right.
Easily, right? And it's only October. So some people, so like my misogi this year was to get in the best health of my life, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
All right.
And part of that was my body composition. So I want to try to get my body fat under 20%.
Okay.
and I'm struggling. But the best part about it is I've learned so much about myself, and I've done so many things. I don't even care about the number
look great,
anymore.
though.
Thank
Exactly.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. You look good.
I don't, and that's why, like, I was just talking to Dr. Mindy the other day. So I'm intermittent fasting, and she's got me on this thing, and I'm like, I'm 4'9", but I'm 105 pounds, and my body fat composition is still 26%. Like, this makes no sense. Like,
No.
how, like, what? But the reality is there's other things. So I've done hormone testing. I have liver things I'm going, like all of these things that I'm doing, which I would have never known. So I'm finding out how to heal my body in so many ways. I'm lifting super heavy. I'm like, right. I don't even care about the number anymore, because that at the end of December, I'm going to hit the Misogi. It's just not going to be the 20% body fat. And I don't even care about it anymore.
That's how I feel about my body weight right now.
Yeah.
I
run
feel
right
so
through
much
it.
healthier.
Yeah. As long as you feel good and I feel healthy and strong and alive, that's what it is. So that was my Misogi. These two gentlemen are out of their ever-loving minds. I love them dearly, but oh my God. So they are
Believe it.
running the World Marathon Challenge. It is 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. So you run a marathon. So
God
they
bless you.
basically, you fly.
They start in Antarctica.
Right.
Hey,
You
God
go to
bless you.
Antarctica, you run your marathon, you get on a plane, you fly to the next continent, you run your marathon, there's no hotels, there's no bougie, nothing. Like, you are flying from one place to the next to the place. They're going to end up in Florida, I think, right? That's the final one, I think. They end up in the United States. I think it's in Florida. So 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. Yeah.
I got to be honest. I have no desire whatsoever to do a marathon.
No.
Now I do some other off the wall stuff physically, but nothing to do with who can go the longest.
Right.
Anything like that.
No, and Karan, when we had our first conversation and did his planning, his Misogi was business related. And I was like,
His business is killing it.
I go, your business is good, and that's a big business goal, but
This is the guy that got rid of all his...
Right, so-
The 200 million.
yeah. So
No, that's a different guy.
Oh.
This is the guy that sold all of his material possessions.
yeah, sold his apartment.
Oh,
in Soho.
yeah.
So
okay,
he's
yeah.
training out in Denver specifically, so he has elevation, so he can train for marathons with elevation, which is super
He's-
smart.
He's running like 10, 16 miles a day. Just,
Yeah,
just
and now he's boxing, riding.
yeah,
But like
yeah.
that's the thing, like that Misogi, the running the marathons, like that's the end goal. But the training that he's put in,
Right.
the fact that he moved, like it has changed his life.
Yeah, what you're doing DNA wise,
Right.
mentally speaking,
Yeah,
emotionally, the whole nine.
All of it. So a couple years ago, my Misogi was I got my yoga instructor certification totally out of the box. I barely even practiced yoga. I was like,
Right.
this is so different. Last year or 2 years ago, it was I need to get out of corporate America, and then this job shows up.
We were talking
Tell-
about that.
Yeah.
that's
tell everybody
what-
how you got into this. This is a really cool story.
So I hired Jesse actually to speak at my company 5 years ago, I guess it was. I was executive vice president of operations and client
Right.
services for a financial planning firm, a managing director for a computer consulting firm before that, but 26 years of corporate America. And he came and spoke and just, lit the room up like he always does. And after he was done, he's like, so what'd you think? I was like, that was amazing, but oh my God, like, my life sucks. Like, I'm
Right,
like, oh,
right. What am I
wow.
doing?
Like, what am I
Right.
doing? I'm under indexing everywhere. I thought I was good, but like, I don't want good enough. I'm living
Exactly.
in good
Yeah, who
enough.
wants
Like,
good enough?
Why?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I was. I thought I was fine. Like, I had my daughters. I was married. I had, a good job. It's like, wow. I realized I had let Laurie go. So he's like, oh, I'm going to start this program, build your life resume. I'll let you know. I'm like, he's never letting me know. And then he emails me, lets me know. I join the program. I do the course for 4 months. Absolutely start to make changes in my life, and I'm loving who I become. So then he decides to do a year program. It was just like a monthly call with him. And then we had 2 get-togethers. They were just half-day retreats. And I went to those. And then he had the big calendar that he walks around with, and he's like, I want to do this big-ass calendar, and then I want to do this calendar club. And then he messaged me, hey, give me a call. I call him. He's like, hey, I might do accountability coaching in the big-ass calendar club. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah, anything you want. Like,
right,
just like,
exactly.
and he was funny. He's like, I don't know if it's paid, volunteer. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I want to share this with people. And if I can help people do what I'm doing, like, I would love that. And the fact that you'd ask
Right.
me, like, I'm 100% in. So I coached for a year and a half in that. He called me a year and a half ago in May and was like, look, a lot of people have approached him about one-on-one coaching. That's not his space.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
And he said, he's like, I love helping people, but I can't do that he's like, but I think I could probably put a program together that would bring that to them. What do you think? And so we started just kind of laying different ideas out of what a program could look like. Maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. What if we had this? What if we had that? And after about an hour, he was like, all right, what do you think? Like, do you think this could work? And I was like, you could absolutely do that, Jesse.
Right.
Like, it would totally work. And he said to me, he goes, okay, well, the only problem is I'm going to need you full time. And I was like, what? Like,
I would say, what does that look
yeah,
like?
huh? I was like, so I go, he's like, no, Laurie, I wasn't asking you, like, we weren't spitballing, because we would do that. He always asks my opinion on things that have nothing to do with me, and I just give him my opinions. So I thought that's what we were doing. He's like, no, I want you to come in. I want you to design the program, manage the program, run the program, coach in it.
Right.
It's like, basically get it started and see what we can do. Let's see if it works. And I was like, all right, I'm in. I quit my job. Husband was a little bit,
looking at
what the hell are you doing? We got two girls, like we got one in college, one going in. What, like, and I was like, no, like I feel like this is what I need to do, and you got to trust me. And so I gave a month's notice, started working, put the program together, and then we launched it. And that, again, life changing.
Right.
But I put it out there in January. I was like, I am not going to be in corporate America at the end of this year. I don't know what it's going to look like, but that is my goal.
Exactly.
And then this came to me. Because a lot of times when you put it out there and then you open yourself up, the universe will deliver what you've asked for. But if you stop blocking it,
and
you let your
the crown has to be open in order to receive.
Yeah. So the source will go out and look for what it wants if you allow it to.
Right.
Not block it, and we block it because we believe the stories we tell ourselves in our minds, and not what the body and our souls is telling us.
Exactly. Following your gut.
When do you go back after the Rome, Georgia trip?
So
if you don't go back on Sunday, Kevin's doing a gathering in Atlanta on Sunday night.
Is he? I think I'm going back Saturday because I have to be back here for another mastermind program that I'm like. We have a mastermind retreat that a group is coming in to experience. They asked Jesse to put it on for them, so I'm running that as well. So I have to see. I think I was flying home Saturday and coming back Tuesday, but let me see.
She's like, let me see.
Let me see.
It's but doesn't the thing end on Sunday?
Saturday morning.
Okay, so Saturday morning. So it's like what is it? What are the dates on that again?
It's the 3rd through the 5th.
Okay,
Thursday
3rd
to
through
Saturday.
5th.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you're in town still for Sunday, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the source and all that. I was like, oh, Kevin. Which again, just another one of the homies that like
Luke's reeling you in.
Yeah.
Dude, it's something that life is such a beautiful journey. You know what I mean? Like, you really look at it. When me and Kevin met, who's just another, again, shout out to Kevin all the time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Such a cool dude. But like, it's cool to watch all these friends and stuff. And when I told Kevin back when I was like part of the core of the Light Beings, then I was like, yo, like, no disrespect to nobody, nothing, but like, you guys are still here. And I feel like I'm supposed to go dominate business. I'm not even in business. I'm going to go get into it. And I'm going to make a ton of money and I'll buy you guys land. And then literally now, like, I'm about to like buy land.
About to buy, yeah.
And they're going to use it. And like Kevin, he'll reach out to me. He's like, every time I get a business idea, I'm going to bring it to you and stuff. But like, I helped kind of inspire him with business and he helps me with spiritual like teachings and stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of cool. Like though, when you keep doing good, you get unintended consequences.
Oh, dude, yeah, it falls off crazy, especially around you, man. I notice it a lot because even with Mike Burke, like who would have thought, a gym jockey like myself is doing sound therapy? Like what?
Oh my God,
really?
he's so good. He's so good.
I mean, like I'll call Mike and text him and say, hey, we're doing this here. We got this. We're using this, and Mike's like, you know how he is. Cool, brother.
Hey, brother. Yeah.
But it's because Carmen had been talking to me about it. Then I saw him on your podcast, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then so remember when I reached out to him, I was like, hey, give me that dude's
you know
stuff. The next thing I know, 2 weeks later, I'm doing a daggum sound bath.
Small world too is Danielle's lady that she works for in therapy and all that is friends with Mike.
Really?
Yeah. She wants to come over and do a mushroom ceremony with me and Danielle. Like it's because Mike told her about it, and she was like, "Yo, there's this beautiful group of souls that just hang out and they sit by the fire, and like sometimes they go over and do it."
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
And then finds out it's like her. So like it's super funny. It's just it's a small world, but like Laurie's been talking about, when you just keep upholding yourself to live the best you can, the other people around you will do better.
They have no choice.
You know what I mean? Like
either do better by actually
or
doing better
fall
or
out of the
removing
circle.
themselves.
Yeah. Right.
Either way.
And it's never you kick them out. They'll just
Yeah.
Right, because we continue to I mean, I don't want to say level up, but we continue to hit these levels
Yeah.
of our life.
Right.
I mean, when we left Minnesota, I came home, and somebody said something to me. I don't remember who it was, and I was like, I am at such a different level of consciousness right now that I don't want to come down from this, right?
Right.
And I want to build from there.
Right.
And the thing is, you do. Like, people will either build with you and grow with you at their own levels and pace,
Right.
or they'll just fall out.
fall
and it's
off.
okay. It's
okay.
okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's wonderful. And I have people in my life who are doing what they do, and it's what they've always done, and they're very happy, and I love them.
And you can remain friends with
and
them.
we're friends,
right,
and
you
we're
do.
good. And then I have this group of people over here, who are experiencing the same things that I get to experience, and I get to do it for my job. Like,
Yeah,
It's-
exactly. You find
it's
yourself
crazy.
saying, "Who does that?"
right. And
Yeah.
and I'm doing things like, okay, we're going to cut a hole in a lake and I'm going to plunge in it. You're going to do a sound
Exactly.
bath, Rocc? Like, I don't do these
Right,
things.
right,
My
right.
two closest friends call me Costanza. Because they're like, how did you get the job with the Yankees that you had no experience for? Like,
Right.
what are you doing? Like, you showed. I was like,
That's such a good reference.
right. Like,
But that's just a
I don't
belief in yourself.
jump
though.
off cliffs. I don't. But I
Oh my
do
God,
now.
you were really scared to jump off that cliff.
Well, that was the moment. I don't know. Chris Hout, it really summed it up for me. But I'm deathly afraid of heights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's three things I'm afraid of: my children dying, snakes, and heights. Those are my three biggest fears in life, and
Gotcha.
I've now experienced all three. So my daughter Angelina almost passed away in my arms when she was 3 years old. She's severely allergic to peanuts, and went into anaphylactic shock and was literally turning blue and the whole thing. She is fine. She is here with us. She drives me crazy because she's not as diligent as she can be, but she's going to be 21. What can you do?
Right.
My roommate in college had a boa constrictor in our apartment.
Oh, that's
and
a no.
Like,
A boa?
what? Yeah.
Of all snakes, that's
Like-
like one that'll actually kill you.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
deathly
exactly. That was
afraid.
like, that's a no.
And then I would be like walking in the apartment. They'd be like, Elvis is out. I'm like, okay, well, find me when he's not, because I'm not
Yeah.
coming in this apartment.
Elvis has just left the building.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's number two. So now we go on our retreat with our group in Connecticut and in June, and we're going to cliff jump. Now, Jesse's afraid of heights. He's never jumped off that cliff. So I'm like, I'm
How
good.
high? How high is it?
I have 20 feet,
pretty high.
25
Okay.
feet. I don't know. I have no idea. But all I know is anything's high that I'm jumping off of, right?
Right.
Especially because I'm super short, so everything's super high. But I'm like, all right, well, Jesse's not going to jump, so I'm good. I don't have to worry about it. Like, all these other crazy people. And, like, they're all getting on the boat, like, off the boats and whatever. And Dr. Trish is with me, and she lied. I love her, but she lied. Because when everybody had a swim buddy because we're going in the lake. We have boats. Jesse's like, everybody make sure you have an eye on somebody because it's real easy to drown. Like, we have to make sure we're being, conscious. So
Right.
Trish and I were buddies. I'm like, are you jumping? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, good. We'll be swim buddies. So we're sitting on the boat. We're watching everybody. And she looks at me and she's like, Laurie, you ready? I'm
Like ready for what?
And I go, for what? And she's like, we're going to jump. And I go, no, we're not. And she said, no, we're going to jump.
No.
And as I'm protesting with my mouth, I get up. And I'm like, no, Trish, I'm not jumping. And I start to
yeah.
cry. And I pick up the life vest and I'm putting it on and I'm snapping it.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on. I'm like, but I don't want to do this. I don't want to jump. I'm afraid of heights. I'm not jumping. Trish, we said we weren't jumping, as I'm walking to the end of the boat.
Right.
And I'm protesting and I'm hysterical crying. I'm starting to have a panic attack. Anxiety is kicking in. Now I jump in the water. Now I'm swimming from the boat to the shore, hysterical crying. I'm like passing Mona. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm crying. Megan Riley sees me. We get to the side. Now you got to climb up to get to the rock that you're going to jump off. And I am physically shaking.
So you got all this time to
crying.
think about it.
And I'm just, the whole time I'm going, I don't want to do this. No, I'm not jumping. While I'm walking towards it.
Right.
And Chris House, like, Laurie, do you want to sit down? I'm like, no. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to go jump. He's like, I go, but I don't want to jump. He goes, well, you don't have to. I go, yes, I do. And he like looked at me. He's like, what? I go, I can't tell everybody that everything they want is on the other side of the fear if I can't do it myself.
Right.
I was like, what kind of coach am I if I'm not willing to lead by example? I used to tell the kids in youth sports when I coached, I will never ask you to do anything I wouldn't do myself.
Mm-hmm.
Here is my moment of truth. And and I don't want to, and I'm terrified. And I walk up and I'm shaking. I snot. I mean, it was not a good moment. And of course, it's all on video, right? And I'm
Right.
shaking, and Megan Riley, Angel is there. Dr. Trish is there. And I walk to the edge and I throw my life vest and I jump. Would I jump again? If I had to, I know I could. Did I love it? No. Did I hate it? No. Is it still scary for me? Sure. But what Chris Howe said to me was, he goes, most people have that conversation inside. So your source, your inner self, is telling you what your authentic person wants to be. Your mind is telling you all the things, so normally your head is telling you, you're not doing that, don't do that, quit.
Right.
But I was verbalizing it as my body and my subconscious self was like, this is what we're doing. While my conscious self was like, oh, hell no, no, we're not, no, we're not, no, we're not, no, we're not. Yes, we are, yes, we are. Right. And it was totally like visual and audible. Like everybody could see and hear clearly the two parts of me having this fight. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And that moment I realized I can't ever listen to my head again. I have to do what my inner being is telling me has to happen. I have to honor that, because that moment just surpassed anything I could have expected. And it wasn't the jump. It was getting there. It was allowing
everything you had to get through to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was not my finest looking moment, but it was a
We always get to the one time. So the last thing to ask is, how can people join?
So we are opening up membership for next year now, currently for 2023, but you can always apply at any time. If you go to Jesse Itzler's website, so it's Jesse Itzer, JessieItzler.com, and you click on coaching, there is an option for one-on-one coaching. And when you click that, it will bring you to the program. This year we have a couple different options. Last year it was just the one. This year we have a 6-month program. We have a 12-month program, and then we have a 12-month plus program. The 6-month program is going to be capped at 50 members this year. The 12-month will be capped at 100 members. We have 33 members returning from last year already, so there's 67 open spots. And then the 12-month plus will be, which Premier will be a 10-person program, a little bit higher level. The descriptions of the programs are all on the website and all of that. And it's just, you fill out your application, be true to who you are, be authentic in yourself, and if you're a good fit for what we're looking to accomplish in life, then you're in. And that's how you join.
There you have it.
Awesome. Guys, that's just another episode of Free Game. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Mike, son Connor, Business Radio X for hosting us. Yeah, exactly. Rocc, Laurie, thank you so much.
Laurie.
For you guys that don't understand,
Appreciate
Laurie's
you
a little
again.
trooper. She got here, no excuses, literally straight from the airport, dealing with personal stuff.
I know, man.
Super good spirits, super good vibe, doesn't change.
Great being.
A great being.
Yeah.
So it's just awesome to have you back and not back here, but just have you back in our presence.
Thank you.
And hang out.
Thank you so much. I mean, it was an honor to be asked, and it's so much fun just hanging out with you guys. So
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised. I was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I know him.
Yeah, exactly.
That was perfect. So
Yeah, it makes it a little easier when you kind of know somebody. So it's funny. Rocc was actually our first guest. He was a guest. It was me and my boy Jeremy.
Right. Yeah.
Who I used to go on like these like blunt walks with, and I was like, yo, again, my intuition. I was like, I just know they're gonna offer me the podcast that I knew I was gonna get in 2019 in the next couple of weeks. And I was like, I'm gonna make you the co-host. And Jeremy was like, all right, brother.
Exactly.
But he's like the perfect like he's
Right.
a great co-host, because he'd just be like and ask questions that like people didn't know want to
Exactly.
know. And then I sent him up to South Carolina to help start an office, and that was an experience. And then the last episode we did was last week, and that was the end of our first contract. And now we're like on to the next, kind of just go as we see.
okay.
So that's gonna kind of just be just going.
We'll see what happens.
There you go.
Yeah, the unpredictable future. That's what the good stuff is.
That's where it is. Life is what happens when you're busy making plans, right?
Exactly.
Say
Exactly.
that.
And then I guess just end kind of with like a scripture or Bible verses. You can't help others when you got a splinter in your own eye, right? So just live your true, authentic self, and others will be inspired to do the same. So trying to talk at people like some of the other groups.
Right.
Live it, and then they'll see it.
Absolutely.
Facts. Guess that's us, bro.